All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD1111 class for the fall 2020 semester at Rankin, I've been going through a series of video presentations based on the textbook for the class, that book being Get Programming with Node.js by Jonathan Wexler, a Manning publication. And we are at the end of Lesson 7, where we are beginning to create our Confetti Cuisine website. And the lesson consists of 6 different sections, and I'm on section 6 now. And as they mentioned, the last piece of the puzzle is an important one, routes. The routes, the application determines the URLs that are accessible to the clients that will be served. Now, what that means in English is you may have a web page, but you have to provide a way for the user to get there. So the author says that he has specifically created a router.js file to handle the routes. That said, those routes must still be registering. And as mentioned there, it says it means passing a URL and a callback to the router.get. And the get is going to be for the home page, and it's going to be for our other page, and the post is going to be for the contact page. All right, these functions, as I said, add routes to the router.routes, a JavaScript object that maps URLs to the callback functions to be invoked when the URL is indeed accessed. So, as the author says here, to recap, we need to state the following. You need to let the user know whether this is a GET request or a POST request. GET is, again, read only. POST is create. Later we will add PUT, which will give us the ability to update something that exists. And we'll add delete, which will give us the ability to delete something that exists. That's a lecture for another time. So for now, we need to know whether it's a GET or a POST. We need to know the path to the URL, and they cannot be the same exact path. That wouldn't make sense. If we use the same exact path, the user wouldn't know which request it was supposed to be handling. It needs the name of the file to return, an HTTP status code. Ideally, that code will be 200, which means everything worked okay. Other things that you might see are like 404, which is like a file not found. All right. Plus the type of file that's being returned. That's referred to as its content type. Now, as mentioned here, in each callback function, we need to indicate the content type that goes into the response, and we use the file system or FS module to read the contents and assets into the response. In English, what this means, for example, is when we bring up, we're saying here that we're using HTML. And when we bring up courses.html, not only should it contain all of the HTML that is in that file, but if there's also any CSS, links to CSS files, etc., we must check because those are assets to make sure that we have links and that those files exist. Same thing with client-side JavaScript. Now currently we have an empty client-side JavaScript file. So that's not doing anything. But we do have our Bootstrap CSS file, and we have our Confetti Cuisine CSS file. So when we go into index.html or courses.html or contact.html, if we go into any of those, let's just take a quick look. They're under our views folder, and for right now we've got contact, courses, and index. So let's look at each one in turn. Here is index. All right, and you can see we are adding these 2 files. These are being linked in. Also notice that they're being linked in. We're already in the we have to let the system know that it's under / Bootstrap CSS or Confetti Cuisine CSS. All right. We also have to provide the links to our other two files, our courses file and our contact file. All right. Other than that, it really looks very similar to an HTML file that we've done before, but adding Bootstrap. All right. So we've got next, let's quickly look at our courses file. All right. And you'll notice that right now we've got 3 courses. All right. Plus we've got our contact file. Now let's do something I wouldn't normally do. That is, let's bring this file up and let's just bring it up in Chrome. All right. And you can see there are problems in here. All right. From where we're running it right now, we're not pathing it correctly to where the information is. We should be able to, no, we can't go to courses because we're giving it the wrong path for that and for contact. So this isn't something that we're just going to plain look up and be able to use, all right, to look up and be able to use inside of we're not going to be able to use it just inside of a regular browser. All right. So you'll see the same kind of thing if we try to run this. See that? But when we go to contact us, it's not finding it because it's not pathed correctly. It's pathed correctly for finding this stuff on the server side, but not on the client side. So you're starting to see how things are changing and will continue to change over time. All right. Notice too, these were our 3 CSS files, I'm sorry, our 3 HTML files, index, courses, and contact. We've got more. We've got an HTML file that's going to say thanks. We've got what? We've got our images here. We've got graph.ping, people.jpg, product.jpg. These files here, the pings, are images. And notice where those are, public/images. All right. So these are assets. These 3 image files, these 2 CSS files, and the JavaScript file are all CSS files. All right. So this is with the router in main.css. So finally, if I come back in here and I come in and I say it's main, so I say node main. The server is listing. Now let's go over to port 3000 and see what the heck we have. And look what you see. All right, there's our home. There are our courses, and I guess that is the thing for the product page. All right, and there's contact. All right, now I'm just going to look just for the heck of it. And what's kind of cool, when you look at it, it is also set up, not perfect, it is by any means, but it is at least somewhat responsive. Now, could that have been luck? Anything's possible, but it wouldn't look fantastic on a phone, but we'll make updates to it, I'm sure, over time. All right. In each callback method, as it says, we need to indicate the type of content that will go into the response. Content type HTML, content type ping, content type JPEG, content type CSS, content type JS. And the author says, notice the post route, which will handle form submissions on the contact page. Instead of responding with another page, this route responds with the HTML, thanks for supporting our page. All right, so how do we get to that? Well, let's go back to where we just were. And when we put in contact, and I put in my email address, jpscott@rankin.edu, and I click submit, boom. Thanks for submitting. There's even a link to go back to the home page. That's in the thanks. .css or .html file, which is right here. There's the submitting, and there's the going to the home page. All right. You'll also notice one last thing on here, and that is we also have an error page. All right. And what does that say? Oops, something went wrong with the page you're looking for. Let's see if we can make that come up. I'm going to look for a non-existent page. So I'm going to say localhost 3000/hello. There you go. Oops, something went wrong, or the page you are looking for is not available. We can go back to our home page. So I believe that pretty much is it. All right, so as the author says here, in the capstone, we built a complete web app that serves static HTML pages to Confetti Cuisine. That's a very important concept. It is serving just static pages. So we put in our own router module into the main application file, and we created a custom system for routing user requests to serve the content we wanted. All right. Finally, we created a views folder, and we put our HTML files in there, and an assets folder, which inside of it had a CSS folder with our CSS files, a JS folder, which has right now an empty JavaScript file, and an images folder, which has our images in it. All right, it says a lot of code logic is going on here, and the code logic is on its way to a professional structure that Node.js will use. In the next lesson, what we're going to do, says there in Unit 3, we will explore web frameworks. Well, Unit 3, yeah, that's in Unit 3. But in the next unit, Unit 2, and I guess this is Unit 3, it says we will explore web frameworks and show you how to use this application structure with some scaffolding. Okay, in fact, I'm wrong here. The next section is Unit 2. So we will bring up express.js, and you'll see how you can, I'm going to say, take some of the complexity out of what we're doing. Plus, we'll talk about different generators. And when you use these generators, you can actually have pretty much your structure set up for you automatically. So we will head on to Part 2 in just a couple moments.